Hello there, welcome back to the Crypt. We're now going to have a discussion on the Battle of the Hats, which is led by Daryl and Steve.
Steve and Daryl.
Oh, Steve and Daryl. Sorry.
Daryl.
That's mighty.
Mighty.
When your forces combine.
Although it's very dangerously close to Jedward or one of those, isn't it? Maybe shouldn't.
Yeah. Tis a silly idea.
Let's not do that.
So my first question, guys, is why 4th edition?
Why 4th edition, Steve?
Well, it's mainly because I am an absolute fiend for nostalgia and childhood wish fulfillment. And I remember as I was growing up, mooning the right word? Sort of perusing old my White Dwarfs, which were brand new at the time, but they're old now. Old White Dwarfs. And really wanting to get into the game, and I got the Warhammer 4th edition box set as a kid, and it came with elves and goblins, and I had to pick one, and I picked goblins, and that has been the army I've played forever, ever since, up until now. And the whole time, probably about a span of about 25, 30 years, something like that, I've always had this wee hankering for some high elves. And
Really?
yeah. That's what I was like, they're pristine uniforms, an army that actually does what it's told usually, this sort of stuff, nice orderly ranks and things. And it's like, and from a collecting point of view as well, I always wanted to get those classic models and just to look at them, there's just something about them. And I thought, I really just was wanting an excuse to collect some models, and Daryl was speaking about an interest in 4th edition one day, and we got onto it and it became a thing.
Yeah. I mean, I've only been playing for a couple of years here at the Crypt, but although we play 8th edition fantasy here, I kept hearing about the earlier editions and I was really curious about it. And Steve started talking to me about 4th edition, and 4th edition sounded to me it was great because it's really different than 8th edition, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Kind of army sizes are different. The rules, although the tables, the hit and wound tables are similar.
Yeah.
The rules are quite different. Actually.
Yeah.
So the gameplay, although it's Warhammer, the lore is there, the characters are there, the gameplay is.
It's amazing actually. The nuts and bolts of it are very recognisable. DNA's in there. It's Warhammer at its core. But there's a few differences in the rules that make it play very different to, say, 8th, which is what we normally play.
Yeah. And also for me, I mean, again, from videos previous, like my nostalgia goes back to Hero Quest, not even knowing that it was linked up to Warhammer at the time. And I got really curious because 4th edition is about the same time that Hero Quest is coming out. It's when Games Workshop is really kind of doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so the models are cool, the rule books are cool, and for me, it had a cool army in it that I wanted to play as well.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so Chaos Dwarfs. Why Chaos Dwarfs?
Big hats! So, Chaos Dwarfs. One, I have 3 other fantasy armies. I don't really have a fantasy army that does any shooting at all, or has any war machines. And so I was really curious to see what that was like, but also I wanted an army that I could paint, that I could challenge myself to paint, so I love painting. And I really wanted to challenge myself to paint something super crisp and super, I mean the Chaos Dwarf, 4th edition Chaos Dwarfs are just like cartoons basically, they're kind of bounding around the field with giant hats and bright colors, and that's what I really wanted to go for.
Yeah, I think I was feeling the same with the High Elves, because there's something about those 90s style of painting that they did for the White Dwarfs. It was all really bright, vibrant colours, the bright green bases.
Yeah.
It was a simpler time, and it's grimdark's all very well and good, but sometimes you just want a bit of colour in there. So like for the elf army I was putting together, I wanted to make something that I could put on my shelf, and would be nostalgic for anybody that saw it. They go, and they get to kind of get that 90s hit from it, or 80s going into 90s. 90s.
Yeah, 90s.
90s, yeah.
And for me, so unlike Steve, who already had a box full of models and had to jump on me in terms of collecting, Chaos Dwarves, the original Chaos Dwarves are hard to get a hold of, or they're expensive to get a hold of.
Yeah, you need to pretty much break down the mortgage to get an army.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's a great community out there, so shout out to Chaos Dwarves Online. There's a whole group of people out there who are sharing STL files of kind of models that are based off of the old aesthetic, right? The kind of 4th edition aesthetic. and I found some models I liked, got it printed up, and started working with them. And although they're not the original models, I might have started to fall down that honey trap of I've gotten stuck in some early stuff. So
yeah, so I mean, like I'm like been lucky in that I have a pool of models to draw from my own collection, that so I didn't actually have to fork out for now and pay for some of those old models. But I'm still gonna pick up some of the classic models that I've been drooling over for years and never had a reason to buy.
Well, and you're really particular too. Like there was a couple of months ago where you wanted a particular shield, right?
Yeah.
It was a really particular shield. It had to be the shield that came with it. And so you and I were looking at eBay lots together, right? We
Yeah.
a couple of lots
And
together.
part of that for me is I'd quite like the idea of maybe something for the future. I'd like to maybe recreate some of the old battles from the White Dwarfs.
Yeah.
And some of the classic ones. So I want my army to look the part for that.
Yeah.
At least for me, anyway.
Yeah.
From my point
It
of
was
view.
actually a really good battle, and I cannot remember the White Dwarf number, but there was actually a Chaos Dwarf and High Elf battle in there. And it had something to do with flying high and sitting on this giant Games Workshop rock piece, which was about 24 inches high from the rest of the battlefield. It was just like, I've probably got it in my collection somewhere, but I remember it because Chaos Dwarfs were always an army that I wanted, but I ended up getting wrapped up in Undead, and then it was just, I never went anywhere after that. I just stayed there. But Chaos Dwarfs were definitely like one of the golden armies that I think most of us wish we'd got.
And that's another reason we're playing fourth, or at least I like the idea of playing fourth. There's a lot of rules that don't exist anymore that we're kind of nostalgic about. Like, remember playing the game as a kid with me and Kate was particularly playing the games kind of flying high, lapping round. There's some cool stuff in there that just doesn't exist anymore, and it's like we're probably remembering it through rose-tinted glasses. They're probably totally broken, but
I don't know.
it's going to be fun to find out, you know.
Fun. I will say though that after I've fallen pretty hard for Chaos Dwarves, I've fallen really hard the last couple of weeks. So I delved into the history of Chaos Dwarves and found that GW, that Citadel and also Marauder Miniatures produce some Chaos Dwarves that are pretty big hats. I've fallen in love with those models.
Yeah, they're the proper old kind of the Chaos Dwarves were Chaos Dwarves. They were like
Chaos
Nurgle Dwarves and Corn Dwarves. Yeah. Corn Dwarves, that's not like something you'd eat. I'm going to get me a corn dog.
The wee things that come in your Chinese.
Yeah, it's like a meat replacement dwarf.
When you sent me that picture the other day, I was looking at them, I was like, yeah man, they are cool, but then I was like, I took a close look at some, I was like, they look like gnomes.
But that's
they're really cool.
Into my narrative though as well, because those guys are looking for hats.
So
I'm going to get a unit of those guys going if I can afford it, and those guys are going to be looking for hats.
You can have any hats you want, but you can't take them from me.
We'll see.
So we've got the battle of the big hats.
Yeah.
So is there going to be a war? Full scale?
Oh yeah, we're going to get there.
We started small, right? So kind of like the Winter's Grudge, this is an escalation campaign. So our first battle was 600 points, something like that. And the world's our oyster. So we'll see how big we get, but it's definitely going to go to a war.
Yeah. And we're going to chuck in a few pitched battles as well, but just now we're playing through some scenarios, playing around with scenario design stuff. It's something we've not really done very much of in our own games.
No.
So I think the general thinking is we're going to be kind of loose with points and things, not worry about balance and focus more on what's going to make a cool game, what's going to be a cool story, you know.
So strong rule of cool.
Yeah, strong rule of cool, yeah.
Absolutely. And also, like in our first game, I think all of our games will have a couple of random elements as well.
Yeah.
That, maybe a unit will come on, or maybe it won't.
Yeah.
Something else.
And there's another thing where we're going to be kind of trying to be flexible as we play the games. If something comes up that's not covered with the rules, we're just going to be just rolling with it and say, well, actually, it's like similar in that first game we played where my leader ran off out the unit. That couldn't have happened in the letter of the rules, but in the spirit of the game, it was actually a good idea to have him run off and make it to the tower.
Yeah, so we're going to try to do some stuff around sieges and kind of battles and buildings and stuff like that. And we'll see what we think.
So there's lots more to come.
Lots more.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Lots more. We got our next battle coming up in a couple of weeks, so we're going to go from 600-ish to 1,000 points.
Yeah.
And we'll see where things go.
You expecting a little more from the high elves this time?
Points wise, probably about 4 more elves.
I just spent the work rate on the table.
Yeah, I know. Well, if they have the dice with them this time, we should be good. We should be good.
I mean, the thing went Steve's way, didn't go Steve's way in the first battle is because we had broken deployments, so deployments over different phases, right? And so his core combat unit was off the table already by the time we actually got into combat.
But I mean, the game, it wasn't just set up to be balanced like that. It was set up to be interesting. So it's like I think for the bulk of the battle, Dower probably had an edge on points, and then definitely for the turns where the cannon was in play. But then the Reavers could have come on before the cannon got put together. So there was balance and randomness, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
the variance makes it balanced.
And I think that twist will feature in the next battles to come.
Yeah.
In fact, we've got an eagle, right?
Yeah, there's an eagle. There's an eagle. The eagles are coming.
Excellent. Well, there's more to come then, and I suppose we'll be seeing a lot more of big hats and cowardly elves in the near future.
Pointy-eared surrender monkeys.
So till next time, guys, we'll see you later. Cheers.